Jay-Z did more than simply co-sign Drake. Then he warned him. A silent one. The kind that you only hear when you pay close attention. Drake wasn't just another rapper attempting to get popularity when he first came on the scene. He was being molded, cultivated, and mentored by some of the most intelligent people in the field. And Hav was the biggest of them all. Jay-Z wasn't merely using verses to gain influence. He was constructing and safeguarding something. Furthermore, the lyrics sound more like a blueprint than a feature if you go back and listen to them carefully. More akin to a private discussion masquerading as a public document. You see, Light Up from Drake's debut album was the first time Jay and Drake collaborated musically. It sounded like a flex at the time. The king himself gives Drake the thumbs up. Drake, here's how they're going to come at you. And watch for traitors disguised as favors, Jay said, buried in those verses. Rap talk wasn't what that was. It was the vigor of a big brother. It was survival talk. And as Drake's career progresses, those lines seem more and more like cautionary tales about Diddy in particular. Now, the friction between Drake and Drake wasn't unexpected. Behind the scenes, a storm was already building in 2014. The spark was a beat. Boy Wanda and Frank Duke's 0 to 100 was the trigger. Drake recorded it, put it out, and saw it become the summertime hit. Diddy, however, thought that beat was intended for him. He felt ignored and degraded. And it doesn't take much for things to blow out when skyscraper-sized egos collide. It did that December Miami birthday celebration for DJ Khaled. There was supposed to be a party. Diddy, however, had other ideas. Diddy confronted Drake and demanded explanations, according to others who were present or heard what transpired. Diddy allegedly slapped Drake after he refused to back down. He allegedly punched him. In any case, it wasn't only a fight. It served as a public reminder of hierarchy, authority, and control. It wasn't a high school drama, though. It was politics in the music business. Diddy wasn't merely angry around one beat. The meaning of that beat infuriated him. Drake had grown beyond his youth as an artist. He was outshining and surpassing others, and that didn't sit well with some of those folks. The murmurs grew louder. Diddy was accused of placing a price on Drake's head. Not in a physical mob hit sense, but rather in the sneaky whispered LA sense that causes individuals to behave differently. Be mindful of their backs, postpone plans. Drake was also aware of it, and he made the appropriate move. The game comes into play at that point. The street-certified heavyweight from Compton. Drake wasn't a moron. Diddy needed the pull of his own people if he had it in some places. Drake took the wise course of action. He formed coalitions. The song 100 was released by him and Game. The video was shot in Compton. Planting a flag to convey a message is just as important as taking a cool picture. Now I have folks. I'm not by myself. However, the terror had persisted even at that point. Drake dropped when he saw strange faces, random men, and unidentified energies throughout the video filming, believed it was a setup, and departed the set. Whack 100 claims that Drake needed someone chasing him to reassure him that those men were there to keep him safe, not to harm him. However, the fact that he ran says it all. He had no paranoia. They told him
he had some knowledge. He may have heard something from Jay-Z well before anyone else did.
Having played the game long enough, Jay-Z was aware of all the traps. He was familiar with the business. Not only the agreements and labels, but also the setups, favors, and whispers. Furthermore, his use of metaphors was survival rather than style. Those who are listening can still hear the Barzini line from Light Up. It wasn't only a reference to The Godfather. It was a cryptic reference to Suits and Snakes. There are others who would ask you to meetings merely to embarrass you. Even before the fight began, Jay was attempting to lace Drake up with armor. The problem is that the industry is multi-layered. It goes beyond music. Deeper plays are taking place in the background. Quiet blackballs, strategic alliances, power, struggles, and silent conflicts. Did he too? He was more than a showy businessman. He was an expert at the game of silence. Diddy moved like a chess player who disliked losing pawns, despite the smiles and champagne. And whether on purpose or not, There are repercussions when you purposely offend someone in that way. Drake was involved in more than just the beat. That rumor did circulate, but it wasn't just about Cassie. Whispers claims that Drake attempted to entice Cassie to OVO in 2013. That struck a chord, whether it was for business or something else entirely. Perception is everything, according to Diddy, who has always been territorial. When said in the wrong way, even a hello can become a grudge. In Miami, the slap was merely the symptom of the public. The next step was more sinister. There were rumors circulating in LA's back channels that Diddy was watching Drake. They sit on corners and report back, not just the kind you find in clubs. Passive threats and street surveillance. People began to pay attention to Drake's movements. Strategic and cautious. The game's existence made sense at that point. The game was doing more than merely a feature. Drake couldn't purchase what he was giving in stores. Security. The game also didn't keep quiet about it. He himself said it. He was summoned up, instructed to wet Drake up, and tried to get him involved in anything naughty, but he opted for loyalty over violence. He gave Drake a straight blow, explained the situation, offered to take cover, and informed him that he had guys ready. Even though the game was strong, he understood that protection like that isn't given away for free. It wasn't charity, it was money. Drake used art as the best means of payment. 100 was more than a mere record. It was a planned step to officially stamp their relationship and lock in protection. It declared, "We're cool. We are on the same page." Additionally, it caused individuals to reconsider attempting anything slick. Nevertheless, despite the apparent improvement, the uneasiness persisted. It didn't go well when Diddy finally appeared on The Breakfast Club to refute everything and claim Drake was his friend. It had the feel of a PR cleanup script. "I didn't touch Drake," he said. "I don't want any issues. However, nobody actually purchased that. Not the insiders, not the fans." Because rumors of conflict, ego, and unspoken grudges that would not go away continued to circulate behind closed doors. Additionally, Drake's music from that era felt more and more like therapy. Sessions set to music the more you listen to it. He mocks self-promoters, brags about getting pushed by OGs, and even imitates Diddy's signature at 4 p.m. in Calabasas. Take it, take that. It's a statement, not a criticism. Loud enough for anybody who understood where to look, but subtle. He was documenting, not hiding, boldly and quietly, bar for bar. A few admirers claim that Jay-Z wasn't merely alerting Drake, he was also defending himself. Once sounding like industry advice, the lines now read more like insurance. Jay could always put it this way: "I tried to tell him." Because he was managing his own position in addition to leading Drake, close enough to witness Diddy's actions, yet far enough away to avoid the consequences. However, Jay's name has been appearing in places it used to avoid lately. He and Diddy are linked together in the same sentence due to legal dockets, accusations, and conspiracy strands. Some even assert that Diddy and Jay were more than just business associates. They were on different tiers of the same game. Jaguar Wright was never able to keep her mouth shut. "They're the same sandwich," he once stated plainly. "Jelly and peanut butter. The same plate, different flavors." People remembered that line not only because it was crazy, but also because it was true in their hearts. In addition, there are the lawsuits, party gossip, non-disclosure agreements, and things that are whispered in black SUVs and hotel hallways. Jay is typically Teflon, but Hub's name is frequently next behind Diddy when he gets sucked into trouble. Although he wasn't directly charged, he was mentioned enough to raise questions about how much and how long he knew. Did Jay see a reflection of himself in Drake? Or did he shield him out of concern? Too valuable to lose a student. For his part, Drake used silence, timing, and music to manage it as he always does. He never once confronted Diddy directly about the matter. No angry tweets, no interviews, simply bars, surgical, serene, and layered bars. He left the calculations to the fans. Let the rumors travel through the streets. Others knew better, but some dismissed the notion of Diddy issuing threats. Or putting out a bounty. Los Angeles is not fair. Furthermore, Diddy prefers to wait until it's too late before yelling. The action taken by the game to keep Drake safe was genuine. It was a combination of strategy and loyalty, of course. He was also elevated by aligning with Drake. This is how the game operates. Alliances are business dealings masquerading as friendships. He showed up though, and the game did more than just cash in. He was therefore one of the few people that prevented Drake from becoming involved in whatever trouble Diddy might have caused. Since then, the industry has changed. Diddy's reputation crumbled. Cassie's accusations, domineering actions, manipulation made everyone rethink everything. Those old tailies didn't sound so ridiculous all of a sudden. The nervousness on set, the Miami slap, and the whispers of the bounty. It was survival, not just drama. Furthermore, the quiet begins to appear rather calculated if Jay-Z had been aware of Diddy's most sinister actions. As a result, listeners are going back and listening to previous songs again, analyzing the words like images of murder scenes. Was the purpose of Watch for the Traitor just commercial? Was Jay hinting at something more profound? Was Drake's "Here's how they'll come at you" a subliminal admission or a warning? Despite its greatness, music doesn't always provide the answers that people seek. Sometimes it conceals them. Drake never moved the same after all of it, that much is certain. With one eye open, he constructed his empire. Evolved beyond a label. It turned into a stronghold. He favored alliances over eruptions and quiet over spectacle. Playing the long game is not only wise, but also essential in a world where protection has price tags and cosigns have invisible contracts. The question now isn't merely what took place in the past. Who knows what and when is the question. And whether Jay-Z was genuinely attempting to protect himself or save Drake. In any case, one thing is certain. There were more than just lines in those lyrics. In plain sight, these were lifelines wrapped in riddles.